we have a new undisputed WWE Universal Heavyweight Universal Champion, and his name is Phil CM Punk. And we also have a lot of news to talk about as well, including, is Sheamus done with the WWE? There's a lot of reports out there that are seemingly that he just decided to not take a contract cut, and he's basically just going to be up. So I think we're going to have some interesting things to discuss today on the 716 Sports Entertainment Podcast. So with that, welcome to the show. I am Mike, joined by your host, Mr. Sean. Sammy was screwed. And Sean, let's start off with the main one here. We have a new WWE champion, and I don't know. What do you make of all of it?
Well, the main positive, I guess, is that it's not Cody again. So I'm happy that they went the route of writing him off out of the fight. But obviously it was the most telegraphed thing in the world, being in Chicago, that it was going to be Punk. I wish that Cody would have found his way back to somehow cost Sami the match so that Sami didn't drop the title. I hate that he held the title for like a week and 2 days. A week and 1 day. It makes him kind of feel like an afterthought, unless they plan on him getting it back at some point as a reward for doing this. It feels like a waste of time.
So, I mean, this all but kind of guarantees, right, that the SummerSlam Night 1 main event is going to be Cody and Punk. But do you think that Sami is going to be involved in that match in any way, shape, or form? Or do you think they're just going to have him and Gunther do their thing?
I still think Gunther and Aldis are going to do a thing. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Sami get involved. Or I also wouldn't complain if it ended up being another multi-person match. But I feel like WWE wants Punk versus Cody to be like marquee level, which is why I hate the fact that they had to put the title in it, because I don't think it needed the title to be marquee level. I think just the two names alone are enough to promote that match. And I think that's what frustrates me the most about this whole thing with feeling the need to add the title into it.
Yeah, and like my immediate gut reaction is that unless Cody turns heel, Punk is going to retain.
Yeah, I think honestly that makes the most sense. And I mean, I guess you could still have Cody turn heel and Punk retain. I mean, you could have Cody turn heel afterwards.
Right.
But I feel like at the end of the day, this story needs to have Cody turn. It has to. That has to be the end goal of this whole thing. Because otherwise, it's just, I hate to say more of the same, but more of the same with WWE.
Yeah, we've said it a couple of times on this channel, and while he's still one of my favorites, there is a lot of Cody fatigue out there. And I think that we just need to do something different with him for a little while. And if that either is, away from the title picture for a little while, putting other wrestlers over or something, right? Or just less time on TV. But then again, he doesn't have a lot of time left. So I kind of want to make the most of it and get all of the feuds done that I kind of want to get done, right? I don't want him to turn into Roman Reigns, So I don't really know what the right way to go about that is. So, but let's talk about Raw. And then we'll after we get into this, I wanted to talk about Sheamus too. But first, so the show opened up, Sami has made his way in a funny looking convertible and had the title by his side. And, he's approached by Cody, who, he's like, look, man, I'm gonna wish you luck for later on tonight. And, with the best men win, blah, blah, blah. He was attacked by Gunther. Gunther kind of slammed his head in between a car door and powerbombed him through a table. So this ultimately kind of wrote Cody off, which is one way to do it, I guess. I wasn't really sure how they were going to get Cody out of there, And then kind of the whole night-long narrative with Adam Pearce and Sami and Gunther and everyone else was kind of and Nick Aldis as well, who kind of made appearances even though he's supposed to be suspended, was who's going to replace Cody in the main event. And, yes, obviously the worst kept secret, right? Because the show was in fact in Chicago. And, I also kind of find it funny that they said that CM Punk was in the building, or the challenger was in the building, but when they showed him, he was actually walking into the building, which was kind of hysterical. But it was a cool entrance, and the crowd obviously hugely popped because, it's Chicago and it's Punk. And the match was good. The match was, it was a pretty fantastic match. There were a lot of near falls. Punk looks great. And I really enjoyed, kind of the back and forth. Sami hit two GTSs on him. Punk hit him with a haluva kick and a GTS to kind of close out the end of the match. But all in all, I thought it was a solid match, and I very much enjoyed it.
I think my only complaint about it kind of ties into what you just said about the ending. It felt a little bit WCW-esque with the amount of copy finishers going on and kickouts of finishers. So I could have done without the fact that Sami managed to hit all of those finishers and Punk managed to kick out, and then Punk just finishes him with a haluva into a GTS. Like, they've both been kicking out of like crazy things, and
Yeah,
Punk
I
is
don't mind
Punk
it
is
when
like several years older than Sami, so
it doesn't
just
bother
felt
me when somebody kicks out of somebody else's finisher. Like that's okay. It's like when they kick out of your own finisher, that's kind of a bigger deal. But like for Punk to kick out of his own finisher twice, I don't think that it is that big of a deal.
it just felt a little bit AEW-esque to me. But the match as a whole, I mean, like you said, Punk looked good for the fact that he is in the twilight of his career now. And I just hope that he can stay healthy enough to get what they want out of him over these next couple months.
But to get you back to your original point, though, I do kind of feel bad for Sami a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I am kind of the mind, like, what are we going to do with this guy now?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, where do we go with this guy? What are we going to do with this guy? And, like, I don't know. I don't feel great about any of it,
Like, it's one thing to be a transitional champion, and then there's Sami Zayn. Like, even Jey Uso, I mean, Sami Zayn held the title for less time than Jey Uso's normally out of breath. So
9 days.
it just... And the only thing that I can hope for is that this builds into some sort of Sami Zayn redemption story with him winning the Rumble and maybe winning it back at Saudi again next year.
Yeah, I mean, are they going to do that again, though? I mean, you did it once. Are you really going to just go to the well again on that?
It's WWE. They do go to the well a little bit too much sometimes. I would like to see him rewarded for being willing to do this kind of BS, because we could have gotten some pretty good matches, I think, out of this.
Yeah, I mean, in the bottom line, I think, and the way I kind of want to close this out is it just sort of feels like a moment, right? Like they just did it for the moment, and then it's like kind of like what they did with WrestleMania last year, right? Like we needed to get to Cody and Randy, but even Cody kind of came to the conclusion like, hey, look, maybe the fans are getting a little tired of this, so let's shock them and put the title on Drew temporarily, and then we'll get it back. We'll get it to the match we always planned on getting ourselves to. And I think it's kind of going the same route here. Had it been Cody just retaining at Night of Champions, that probably would have been fine. Like honestly, it might have been better. Cody just retains there, and then you just do Cody versus Punk, at SummerSlam for the title that way with Cody having the title. And then I would be like, it'd be a foregone certainty that Cody or that Punk would win. But I think in this instance, I don't know. I think it's fine. I'm very curious to see Punk. I'm assuming Punk will be on SmackDown on Friday. And I'm very curious to see like how they start this story, because like Punk isn't like, Punk's a no nonsense kind of guy. Right. So like, what are the contents going to be of the promo that he's going to cut on Friday? Right. Like, what is he going to say about Sami and about Cody, or even if it is, I would assume Cody will interrupt him, but like, how is Punk going to play all of this out?
I'll predict it now for you. Sami's going to interrupt. Punk's going to come out, start talking about how he's now here on SmackDown as their champion. He's going to represent them. Sami's going to interrupt and be pissed about the fact that he wasn't ready for for Punk, and he was ready for Cody, and this never should have happened. And he's going to file some sort of lawsuit or grievance with WWE to try to get his title back, something stupid like that. You're going to end up with Punk versus Sami at Saturday night's main event at MSG. And then Punk is going to grant Cody his title match that he didn't get because Gunther attacked him.
So you think Punk will fight both guys?
Yes, Punk is going to face both Sami and Cody. Not at the same time, but at two PLEs.
So what are you going to do with Punk or with Sami at SummerSlam then?
That I'm not sure about yet. I could see him still getting involved somehow in this match, but I'm not quite sure where we're going to get yet. I have to see where some of the other stuff falls between now and then.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I'm just kind of like super interested in the whole thing now. Like, where are we going to go with this? Like, what are we going to do with these characters? You know, and how are we? I have no doubt that Punk and Cody will be able to tell a great story because they're great storytellers. You know, and I just hope that WWE doesn't do what they did and insert like a Pat McAfee into this because, God, please don't. You know, but I think that if they just let these guys go out and do their thing, I think it'll be fine.
It's going to be Cody versus McAfee too.
Which takes me to the other main event, which I think is now starting to get really bogged down in the weeds. And this promo from Seth Rollins to open the show, oh my God. It just went on and on and on and on. It was like 15 minutes before LA Knight came out. He was just rambling about, you know, the Shield and his history and some kid who he thought was 5 who turned out to be 9. And like, he made the mistake like 3 times. And, you know, about his dreams being handed off to somebody else and this, that, and the other thing. And I was like, what are we doing here? Like, this isn't Seth Rollins. Like, this is terrible. Like, I think LA Knight should have cut him off like 10 minutes earlier.
That's the problem, though, when Roman's not there. You have to fill that time that you would normally have with the two guys going back and forth with one person basically trying to carry the segment, you know what I mean? And you're right, Knight should have come out sooner. They didn't need to have Seth trying to do that solo like he was.
I mean, LA Knight's interruption was excellent. He tells Rollins that he's aggravated with, you know, how Rollins got to jump in line for the title shot. Said the difference is, you know, he's not clamoring for the nostalgia. He said that Rollins has had so many title shots and, you know, Knight is always being cut off by everybody, first by the bloodline and then by the Vision. And, you know, I loved his making fun of Rollins about it and kind of him comparing him and Roman, where he was like, oh, hey, let's go get the same haircut. Let's go get the same beard. Let's go out for a beer. I thought that was pretty hysterical. And I just am of the mind, my God, you got to put the title on this dude. Like, you absolutely got to put the title on this dude. He's so over with the crowd. Like, he almost made Rollins break character here. But you could tell Rollins was, like, about to break character here because he was going to, like, laugh his ass off at what, you know, LA Knight was spitting. And I thought it was fantastic. And then the whole segment obviously ended with Jimmy Uso attacking LA Knight, leaving him lying in the ring, which is going to probably, you know, further us into that tag team match, I think, with Solo and the Usos. But anyway, I digress. What did you make of the whole segment and, you know, everything and where we go from here with these characters?
I mean, Seth doesn't have to make any more of an argument than the fact that he never lost the title. Like, the fact that they feel the need to make this story about more than that just is WWE overbooking the hell out of it. Like, literally, all Seth has to say is, A, I never lost the title, and then B, this whole argument about how Roman never beat him isn't even true. Like, if you go back and you look at the matches between the two of them, Roman has beat him more than a few times. So it's WWE treating us like we're stupid again and just overthinking the whole situation. Like, sometimes less is more, like the saying goes. And that's really where they need to let it be. And LA Knight, my God, the guy needs to win Money at the Bank. I've been saying it for the last 2 years or so. The guy is probably the only face that could win Money at the Bank and make it work.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we've discussed how the Money in the Bank idea is inherently a heel type thing because of the way it's usually cashed in. But LA Knight as a face, I think, is the one person who could make that work. Punk is probably another one, but LA Knight for sure. And he needs to win it. If anybody has more than earned the opportunity to be a transitional champion, LA Knight at least deserves that much.
Yeah, I think I'm completely with you on that. And I know that Roman and Brock are going to be on Raw next week, and we also did get a segment as well with a couple segments with Paul Heyman, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I don't know, overall, what do you make of this? And do you think that like it builds this title match, or do you think that this kind of detracts from it a little bit?
I don't think it does either. I just think it was kind of their segment. Like I said, the fact that they made such a big deal about Roman was going to be here all summer, and then you have to have Rollins carrying the promos with somebody who isn't even in the feud with them. Like, I'm sorry, that's not a good look.
So, I mean, at least I guess, I would assume it's going to be Cody. Like, we're 99% sure it's going to be Cody, but it seems like the two main events are set at this point. Which takes us to probably what is likely going to be the third main event, and that is, of course, Femi versus Brock Lesnar in Hell in a Cell. And we had another Paul Heyman hyping Brock Lesnar segment. You've heard it once, you've heard it 1,000 times. And this brought out Femi, who can really hold his own on the microphone. And I am very, very, I just continue to be more and more impressed with Femi.
The only thing I was not a fan of in this segment was if you go back and you watch previous segments with Oba and Heyman, Heyman almost acts scared of Oba, and he didn't do that this time. I feel like that kind of detracts a little bit from like Oba's like I'm gonna murder you kind of thing that he has going on. But
Yeah.
you're right, for being as new to the main roster as he is, and as new to WWE still as he is, because everybody forgets he's only been in WWE for what now, like 2 years?
Yeah.
He did to hold your own against Paul Heyman in a promo is no small feat. Most people could not do that, and I think he did a fantastic job, even though I don't think there really needs to even be any more promos between these guys. I think at this point, this match has pretty much sold itself. And the fact that it's a Hell in a Cell match pretty much sells the whole thing.
Yeah, I would imagine if we're going to get the career stipulation, it's going to be next week when Brock shows up.
Either then or like right before. I could see it being like right before SummerSlam too. Because I have to imagine Brock will probably make maybe one more appearance after this. Come out and try to attack Oba, and Oba will put his like title opportunity or something on the line and make Brock put his career on the line, something along those lines.
Yeah. This wasn't the only we've seen of Paul Heyman as well. He did also speak to the Vision right before their match for the tag team titles with the Street Profits, and basically it was like, hey, go out and take care of something and get some business done, or more or less, I'm done with you guys. And this saw the Vision defeat the Street Profits, who also had barely a 2-week title reign as well, to win back the WWE World Tag Team Championships with a newly minted heel turn from a Maxine Dupree, who hit Angelo Dawkins with the low blow in the nuts to allow the Vision to retain or to win back the tag team titles. And afterwards, we saw her and Austin Theory more or less consummate their relationship. And I don't know. What do you make of all of this? And actually, 2 questions. What do you make of all of this, A? And B, do you feel a little bad for Braun Breaker? Because I do.
You mean the fact that Paul Heyman called him out on it too? Like, straight up called him out on it. And it's just, this whole Vision thing, it really sucks overall, the fact that they have to keep shuffling up the different storylines because of how many injuries there are. the sooner they can get Bronson Reed back and Logan Paul, and they can move people back into their original spots, the better. Honestly, before I picked Punk as my background picture here, I was going to try to find a picture of Angelo Dawkins' face after he got nutshotted because it was absolutely hysterical. I mean, the Maxine heel turn was about as telegraphed as Pepsi Phil's return. So, I mean, we knew it was coming. I didn't expect it in this match, so that kind of caught me a little bit unprepared. And I'm kind of shocked that they had the Profits lose the titles as quickly as they did, which leads me to believe that they are planning on pushing the Vision back to the top of the card again.
I hope so. I mean, maybe Logan Paul's injury isn't as bad as we think, and he'll be back sooner, or maybe Bronson Reed will be back soon.
I bet we see Bronson Reed after. I wouldn't be surprised if we get Street Profits versus the Vision at Saturday night's main event again in some sort of stipulation match, and we get a return of the what's his nickname? The
Big Bronson Reed.
Big Bronson Reed.
Yeah, I could see it, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I feel bad for Braun Breaker because it's like 6 months ago he was competing for the world title, and now he's relegated to third fiddle in a tag team, and he's only there because of injuries. And
that's the problem, though. That's why he's there. They had to shuffle up that whole storyline in order to keep the Vision relevant.
I get it, but and also at the same time, then just don't do anything at all. Like why are we like dropping this guy down the card?
They probably
He's
figured
been
that
healthy since WrestleMania.
Right, but that
was 3 months ago.
They're utilizing him in order to keep the whole group relevant, which I get because you don't want to take the whole group off TV all of a sudden and then I mean, I guess you could do that. Take them all off TV and then have them come back when they're all healthy and just start destroying people. But I feel like WWE wants to keep them at the front of people's minds. I mean, I wouldn't have expected Logan Paul to be there with his injury every week, and he has been. So that surprises the hell out of me.
Or hear me out on this. You could have had Brock Costa-Ova, the King of the Ring, and you still would have been able to get that match.
Oh, yeah.
And you could have had Seth and Braun in the finals.
I believe that I said that I would have been perfectly okay with that. I think that the problem, though, is I think WWE is, I say this loosely, brain trust in back, can't seem to focus on multitasking when it comes to groups. And that's why they are using Braun the way they are, is they're focusing on trying to keep them as a group strong rather than as a single person strong.
I just think this whole thing was just booked so half-assed. And
it is. And it's not, I will say it's not all WWE's fault. It is a lot of bad luck with the fact that the Vision are as snakebit as a group as they are. But they need to figure out a way to, once at least one other person is back, because then they can do the Freebird rules and have Bronson or Logan Paul back in the tag team. They need to figure out a way to strap a rocket back to Braun. And the only thing I can think of is Money at the Bank.
Yeah. Next, we saw Sol Ruca defeat Raquel Rodriguez by a pinfall to retain the Women's Intercontinental Championship after more Judgment Day shenanigans, and then ultimately Io Sky coming down to beat off the baddies to allow Sol to hit the Soul Snatcher to retain. And Sol looks great. I like her a lot. She's a really good wrestler. I love the Soul Snatcher. I've said numerous times it's one of the best finishers in WWE. But Raquel, she's just not interesting to me. I mean, this was fine. Raquel was fine. She's a fine mid-card challenger. But Raquel is just not interesting to me at all. And I think like the sooner, we get the Bayley Lyra blow off and we can move one of them up to challenge Sol and be like a proper challenger for Sol, I think the better we're going to be here.
Raquel Rodriguez is suffering from Kevin Nash syndrome, where they're the big person of a group who should have more charisma than they do, and they just don't. Like, no matter what WWE did to try to put over Diesel or Kevin Nash, it never really worked. And it's crazy to me that WWE doesn't even shy away from the comparisons to Nash with Rodriguez.
Back
Like, yeah, like I'm sorry, they flat out call her Big Mama, Mommy Cool, or whatever the hell they call her now, and it's like that's not the compliment I think that they think it is.
Yeah.
And as far as Sol Ruka goes, love her, love everything she does. She needs to slow it down a little bit in the ring.
Yeah.
She looks there's points where she looks kind of sloppy out there, and I just think if she slows it down a little bit, that can be polished up, and she's got a great future ahead of her.
I mean, I give her a lot of props, though. She's like 26 years old.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. She'll be
fine.
For her age, she is great. I just think that she goes a little bit too fast out there.
Yeah.
Especially when you're going against somebody like Raquel, who is like has the speed of like a bear.
Yeah, that's fair. Speaking of bears, we had Rusev and Ethan Page defeat Dragon Lee and Chad Gable via submission. As this match was set up due to a gauntlet match being set up for next week between these four guys, as well as Javon Evans and Joe Hendry for the challenger to Penta for the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam. This match was awesome. It was the best match on the show. I adore Chad Gable. Obviously with all the shenanigans and all of the numbers games here, the heels were going to take this one, and I think that that's fine. But you made an interesting comment to me prior to us doing this that you think that Chad Gable's going to win the whole thing and be the one to challenge Penta.
I do. I think with it being in Minnesota and with Chad Gable on the redemption arc that he's been on since being El Grande, I feel like SummerSlam is the perfect spot for him to finally get that elusive singles title that he's been chasing for years. The only thing standing in the way of that, though, is the fact that WWE is finally presenting Rusev the way they should, as a racist. I mean, sorry, as a monster. As a racist monster, I should say, because apparently he hates Mexicans. So I feel like the way that they are building him, I don't know if he's going to be one of the roadblocks to Gable, but I feel like it's either going to be, there's three people who are my top three, obviously, to take the IC off of Penta. Number one, I think Gable, because of it being in Minnesota. Number two is probably Ethan Page. I think that it feels like they're setting up a story where he's just using Rusev to be his muscle, and he's going to use that to sort of weasel his way into winning. But then there's obviously also Rusev himself, who might not be as stupid as everybody thinks and realize that Ethan Page is, in fact, using him.
Yeah, I could see it. And then I would also maybe put Javon Evans as dark horse as well, but he seems like he's kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit. He's been off TV for a few weeks, so...
Has he been hurt?
I don't know.
It seems weird that he hasn't been, even on, in segments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So before we give our final ratings for the show, let's spend a few minutes talking about the Sheamus and the contract situation. So it would
real
appear
quick.
that... Yeah, go ahead.
I'd heard something had happened with Sheamus, so I'm very, very curious to see exactly what you saw, because I wasn't able to find what actually was going on.
So he apparently he's still contractually tied to WWE, but he was moved to the alumni section. He allegedly signed a 5-year deal in 2023. However, WWE approached him in 2026, offered to restructure for less money than the previous deal. He rejected that contract, choosing to let the contract lapse rather than sign the extension, I guess. So he's not released, but and won't be subject to the 90-day non-compete. But he is moved to the alumni page, and they changed his thing to S. Farley, which is his, pro wrestler name, not his non-independent name. So, yeah, I don't know. But the bottom line is, I think he's going to be done. He probably could just leave maybe sooner rather than later. He might end up showing up in WCW probably by the end of the year, if at all, if he still wants to keep wrestling.
So I guess we now finally know who the tenured talent was that rejected the restructuring. That kind of surprises me though, because he's always been such a pro WWE guy, and the fact that he's such good friends with Triple H and all that, and this is just another byproduct of TKO and their incessant need to put their hand in the cookie jar, and it's gonna end. He wasn't the first. We saw that with Kofi and Xavier, who I'm fully expecting any day now to show up in WCW, probably at their London show. And Sheamus won't be the last either. This is going to happen more and more, and I think it's kind of asinine. I mean, I will say I have no doubt that there are probably several contracts on their books that are probably worth more than they probably should be, but I just think that that's kind of skeevy when you have Ari Emanuel and them making $1 billion, and then you're going to come in and you're going to be like, I'm sorry, you can't have this money that we promised you.
Yeah, it is less than ideal. I mean, I don't know if Sheamus is going to show up in WCW because, he is 47.
Yeah.
So,
Edge is 102, so.
Edge is 102, right? But, how much longer? Sheamus has got a million things wrong with him, too. How much longer are we going to go here? He could probably go a couple more years. He's in great shape, but I don't know, maybe one more run with Claudio Castagnoli.
That's what I was about to say,
is tag team champions.
Maybe he shows up there and joins the Death Riders. But we can't really talk about people who setting foot in the wrestling ring who probably shouldn't with WCW, considering as they're going to let Mick Foley kill himself over there. So it just, I could see him maybe showing up there and doing something with Claudio as a bar reunion, maybe call it the nightclub or something.
Before when he first debuted, because he won a title within 18 months of his debut,
something crazy like that.
So
yeah.
Because he was in TNA for a little while, and then he was in ECW for a little while, and then he came right up to the main roster and he won the title pretty quickly.
And that was when WWE owned ECW anyway, so it was he was just in WWE pretty much.
Yeah,
he won the title because there was always a lot of talk about how he was such good friends with Triple H, and that was why he won the title.
Right. So he's won pretty much every championship except for the IC title, obviously, which eluded him. But more recently, all of his work with Gunther, I look back on fondly, which was excellent. He's had some incredible matches with Gunther, and all of his work with Claudio and Cesaro, when he was in WWE as the Bar. They were awesome. They were a tag team for probably 2 years, and they were great.
Even before that whole best of 7 that they did that led to them forming the Bar was probably one of the highlights of both guys' careers. That I would never put two guys of that wrestling style into as good of matches as those ended up being.
Yeah, I remember they held the tag team titles for probably almost a year, and they always won. They never lost.
They had that real realistic hard hitting style.
Yeah. No, it's great wrestling to watch. So I know if he wants to keep wrestling, he can absolutely keep wrestling. If he wants to call it a career, he can do that too. He will be a Hall of Famer one way or another. So you know, here's to you, Seamus. Thanks for all the memories.
Yeah. Fella, we too bad we couldn't get one last fella being yelled out as he came out. But
Yeah.
I kind of wish that he would have gotten that IC title and finished as a Grand Slam champ. But the guy did. You're right. He had a hell of a career, and I don't know if he's a first ballot Hall of Famer with WWE, but he should definitely be in there at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so with that, what is your final rating for Monday Night Raw from July the 6th?
It was a little bit of an uneven Raw. It wasn't as good as some of the other ones recently, but it's never as bad as SmackDown generally is. So I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5. I think that it was enjoyable for the most part. The wrestling was relatively good. And other than a little bit of long-winded promos, it got the job done.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Some of the promos, like we got to get a move on here, and please, 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 just strap a rocket to LA Knight. Like, for the love of God, just put a title on that man. He desperately deserves it.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm glad Punk is the champion. I'm very curious to see how he shows up on SmackDown on Friday. And yeah, I think Raw will be good next week with Roman and Brock there. And I don't know. I'm curious to see like what matches are going to be on the Saturday night's main event on the 18th, and then what matches are going to be reserved for SummerSlam.
It's weird they're having so many so close.
Yeah. So it should be very interesting to see how they fill all of that out. Maybe some of the Saturday night's main event matches will tie into SummerSlam in kind of one way or another. So I think with that, my final rating for the show is it's fight night, baby, out of 5. So that is our show, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, I have been Mike, joined by Mr. Sammy was Screwed. Please smash that subscribe button as we make our way to 10K. We appreciate all of the support, guys. It has been a pleasure doing all of these podcasts for you, and we're going to continue to bring you guys some more content as we make our way to the biggest party of the summer. So have yourselves a fantastic evening, and take care.